Accordingly, we are going to read out the bank statement file. But you should know about a minimum, right? What are the details are going to store in the bank statement? Yeah, like you can unity refer like transaction number, account identification, right? Account identification, bank account number, right? Or statement number, sequence numbers, yeah, opening balance, closing balance, and bank statement lines. Okay, these are the details are going to store in this bank statement file that you need to remember it. If in case if the interview asks about the details, what kind of details are stored in the bank statement, then you can mention about these details. Yeah, transaction reference number, bank account identification number, or bank statement number, or sequence number, opening balance, closing balance. These are the normal details, right? In your saving bank account also, we are going to print these details. Same way here also, same. Okay, but here the file is in the text format. That's why we are unable to read out. That's why we are following the guide provided by the Oracle, how to read out your bank statement format. Okay, all right. Cool. సో ఇంకొకటి ఇక్కడ అమౌంట్స్ కూడా మీరు గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. ఇక్కడ 1000 ఉంది అంటే బ్యాంక్ స్టేట్మెంట్ లో మీరు బ్యాంక్ స్టేట్మెంట్ ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసుకున్న తర్వాత స్టేట్మెంట్ లైన్స్ లో 10 రూపీస్ 50 రూపీస్ ఉంటాయండి. మీరు కన్ఫ్యూజ్ అవ్వద్దు. సో దాన్ని మనం 100 తో డివైడ్ చేసుకొని మ్యాచ్ చేసుకోవాలి. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ 1000 ఉంటే 1000 స్టోర్ అవ్వదండి మన బ్యాంక్ స్టేట్మెంట్ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్స్. మనకి బ్యాంక్ స్టేట్మెంట్ ఇంపోర్ట్ అయిన తర్వాత మన బ్యాంక్ స్టేట్మెంట్ లైన్ చూసుకుంటే మన సిస్టమ్ లో ఇట్ విల్ బి గోయింగ్ టు స్టోర్ యాజ్ ఏ 10 or 50 rupees. You have to remove the last 2 zeros and then it will match. Okay, na? Is it make sense or still confusion about these amounts?
It makes sense, Andy.
Perfect. Now let's discuss about this transaction codes at the NTRF. So NTRF means I'm saying transfer. The fund transfer happened on this transaction, but you will have so many transaction codes available in the application. So many transaction codes available in the bank also. So it depends on the scenario, right? Bank is going to print the transaction code. So we have two things and a transaction code and a transaction type. Okay. Bank statement having transaction code. Okay, in our ERP application, we are going to have a transaction type as well. So we are going to define these transaction codes and the transaction types and mapping the transaction codes and transaction types so that whenever we are, importing the bank statements and after importing the bank statement lines will create it. So we can able to read out easily with the transaction type we defined in the application and the transaction codes also defined in the application and transaction codes printed in the bank statement. You can easily map it. Okay, let me show you the transaction codes available in the application. You can see the transaction type codes and transaction type codes. You can see the types and you can see the codes available. So if it is B and K, if the bank statement is printing with the B and K here instead of NTRF, if it is printing as a B and K, you have to understand B and K is related to bank fees. Bank fees. If it is a type code is BOE, if the transaction code is BOE, it means it's a bill of exchange. If it is related to CHK, you should understand it is a check related payment. Okay. And if you take a CMP as a transaction code, it is related to compensation claims. So all these things you are going to define in the application, whether it is using by your client